doing helps me think. I'm not a natural, I've shared this in some other episodes. I'm not a natural thinker. I don't, I'm a natural doer. I say I'm a natural doer. Uh, Doing has been a coping mechanism for me because of my fear of spending time alone in my own thoughts because of my dysfunction and my fear of what I would find in my thoughts and my feelings. And because I hated myself and didn't, and had this huge abhorrence and disdain for myself. So I didn't want to spend any time with myself because of how much I, hated myself and stuff. And so I, thinking has not come natural to me. So I just kind of, as a coping mechanism, developed this. Okay, I just do.
Welcome to the EQ Gangster podcast, where you will learn practical tools to grow your mental and emotional health and intelligence to be the best version of yourself, both at work and at home. It is real, raw, and transformational. The journey of emotional growth isn't easy, but it's worth it. I believe in you.
EQ Gangsters. This episode is going to be on a powerful exercise I did with a client today. And it's going to be, it's going to be on like to change or not to change, to grow or not to grow is the topic of this episode. I'm grateful for breath. I'm grateful for oxygen. I'm grateful for chemical compounds. I'm grateful for atoms and cells and DNA and all the insane. I'm thankful for like the world that we can't see. That's there. We can't see it. I mean, in daily, right? Scientists and stuff like that can see it, right? We're folks that research this stuff, but you don't see it on a regular basis. I'm thankful for all the stuff that we don't see. I'm thankful for spiritual warfare. I'm thankful for the ability to grow my faith and my relationship with the Lord and to dig into the Bible and learn, even though I feel like I don't understand it most of the time, but I still work on learning, and trying to grow. I'm thankful for different cultures. I'm thankful for differences. I'm thankful for shapes and designs. I'm thankful for creativity and people who are creative. Okay, so to change or not to change, here's the exercise. Man, it was and here's another. I don't know if anyone's a coach that listens to this. That's an actual life coach or executive coach or leadership coach or whatever. But a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times, because almost every coaching session that I do, I have my clients do exercises, EQ exercises, thinking exercises, feeling exercises in the actual coaching session. Because I'm number one, I've got ADD and so I know exercises are helpful for me. They force me to think because doing helps me think. I'm not a natural, I've shared this in some other episodes. I'm not a natural thinker. I don't, I'm a natural doer. I say I'm a natural doer. Doing has been a coping mechanism for me because of my fear of spending time alone in my own thoughts because of my dysfunction and my fear of what I would find in my thoughts and my feelings. And because I hated myself and didn't, and had this huge abhorrence and disdain for myself. So I didn't want to spend any time with myself because of how much I, hated myself and stuff. And so I, thinking has not come natural to me. So I just kind of, as a coping mechanism, developed this, okay, I just do. And would always have background noise, music, movies, TV playing so that even in the silence, there would never be silence. And why I didn't sleep very well, because I hated the time of when I had to shut off the music or the TV or whatever, and then I was alone with myself until I eventually fell asleep. That's why I didn't want to go to bed until I was smoked out of my brain, so that I would, as soon as I closed my eyes, like I would fall asleep immediately and not stay in bed thinking and processing and da da da. So maybe more than you wanted to know, but when have I not been transparent? I think I've been transparent since the jump. So to change or not to change. So with all these exercises, that's why I have a lot of clients do exercises, because they're helpful for me. They help me think. And sometimes, and so what I've found is it helps other people think too. Not, again, I don't do it exclusively all the time, but a lot of times I will do it, and I have found that it helps a lot of people think too. So it's not just me; it's a lot of other people, even thinkers, even other people that are natural thinkers. It even helps them kind of codify their thoughts even a little bit better or more. So so some of the exercises I will do with my clients, even though a lot of these exercises I have done on my journey and do in my journey, but some of them I don't do. Some of these exercises I think of up on the spot, and it's like, oh snap! Like I want to do this exercise with with a client. So today was one of those days. And so so if you're a coach, try this out. Take it, use it, try it out, and see how it works. Or even do it for yourself. If you're not a coach, I would I tell you, it was mind blowing doing this exercise today, in a good way. So the exercise was, I said, okay, we're going to take 5 minutes, and this is how I started it. Emotions was the second phase of the exercise. So write down all the cons for not changing or growing. So we looked over the EQ assessment that the client had, and boom, okay. So and let's say you didn't change anything. So and every EQ assessment, there's highs and lows. I have yet to get a client assessed and there's not highs and lows. Every client has highs and lows. Now, some of the highs are higher, some of the lows are lower, but every client has highs and lows. I have highs and lows, or I did. I haven't taken it in a while, but it's been a few years since I've taken it, but highs and lows. So I said, okay, if nothing changes, and you're thinking about your EQ assessment or not, or just the current challenges you have in your life right now, the current frustrations, the current things that you need to work on now. But let's say you don't. Let's say you don't change anything. Over the course of your life now, you don't change, you don't want to grow, you don't want to improve, you don't want to change. What would be the downside of not changing? And I want you to write down as many as possible. No less than 10. Write down no less than 10 things. Boom. So I shut my camera off, started my timer, 5 minutes. And man, I did, let's see, I wrote down 20 different cons of me not changing. What would my life look like? And it is not a pretty picture. And it's been helpful to this exercise because of the spot I'm in right now too, right? So it's been really interesting doing that exercise. Then the next phase was, okay, now write down all the emotions that you would be feeling in that state. Let's say again, you didn't grow, you didn't change, and boom, and you're in that state of mind, kind of state of living. What emotions would you be feeling in that state? And I wrote down 24 emotions. And here's what's crazy, y'all. Crazy. Again, this is my dirty underwear style of leadership. So one of the so I'll give you the emotions. I'll give you the emotions that I would be feeling if I didn't change and I didn't grow. And I just said, I'm not going to change and grow. Miserable, disappointed, sad, heartbroken, defeated, depressed, rejected, abandoned, lonely, suffocated, helpless, hopeless, burdened, worthless, meaningless, frustrated, embarrassed, awful, insecure, bitter, humiliated, shameful, nauseated. And you know the last one? Deserving. Who has more work to do on their EQ, y'all? I was like, oh snap, man, that is probably not an emotion that I should be feeling in that moment, right? But that's part of the exercise, is like, you put yourself in that state. I mean, physiologically, like, your body is like, I was feeling all those emotions, right? And so then when that one popped up, I'm like, oh man, dude, that's not a good sign. If that's one of the emotions that I would feel if I never grow and never change, and I have all this miserable stuff. Because I don't think I'll tell you, man, would that be good or bad if I shared I'll share my list. So this is the cons of not changing. Accepting mediocrity, choosing mediocrity would lead to complacency, would inevitably cause or lead to regression, would affect, hinder, and hurt the relationships around me, family, friends, business, clients. Folks would not want to be around me, would cause me to be isolated from others, which might lead to loneliness. The more isolation might lead to me being in a silo of thought. I would not get sharpened at all by others' thoughts or ideas, would set a terrible example for my daughter, would negatively affect my relationship with my daughter and wife, obviously, would cause my wife to avoid me, would cause my wife to put emotional walls up to protect herself, which she had to do the first however many years we've been married, might even lead to being unemployable, might even lead to not being able to provide for my family, which for a dude that's a monster trigger for me. Not providing for my family is a monster trigger for me. So that would be very, very bad for me. Would be unable to positively affect or impact anyone else. I'd be miserable, which part of me finds attractive. Okay, here's another insight. So I'd be miserable, which part of me finds attractive, because part of me feels like I deserve that, but it would be absolutely terrible. Would not be doing God's will for my life. So those are some of the cons. It was 5 minutes, so I probably could have come up with another 20 if I had more time. So then I told you the list of emotions. Okay, now the rest of the exercise was, okay, now take 5 minutes to write down a list of the pros of changing. So now all my weaknesses, all my shortcomings, let's say I was able to change all those. All my emotional dysfunction, I was emotionally healthy, I was spiritually healthy, I was physically healthy, I had all my, just total my poop in a group. I was dialed in. I was 4 right angles. And what would my life look like then? So let's see. Better relationship with my wife, better relationship with my daughter, better communicator, better listener, more present emotionally, more emotionally available, more consistent, more disciplined, more focused, better example to friends, family, and clients, more influence to positively impact and affect others, more wisdom, more quality time with the Lord, more obedience to the Lord, better relationship with the Lord, better listener, and more aware of the Lord speaking to me. More self and social awareness, more self and social management skills. I'd be a better teacher, a better leader. I'd add more value to friends and clients. I'd be better in conflict. I'd never be reactive. So that was my quick list. Again, I had just 5 minutes of that. And then check out the emotions. The emotions that I wrote down were peace, calm, fulfilled, strong, secure, stable, predictable, present, influence, significant, powerful, control, confident, humble, selfless, meek, disciplined, encouraged, determined, motivated, inspired, creative, and bold. Those aren't all emotions, but anyway, you guys get the concept. And again, it was just a quick exercise, so there's probably a lot more in there that I could dig out, but really interesting exercise. So try that out to do that. And again, it took me so I did 5 minutes for the pros, 5 minutes for the emotions of the pros, 5 minutes for the cons, 5 minutes for the emotions of the cons. And actually I did it in reverse order. It was 5 minutes of the cons, 5 minutes of the emotions of the cons, 5 minutes of the pros, 5 minutes of the emotions of the pros of change. So to change or not to change, y'all. And I will tell you that my clients' responses were super interesting. And maybe I'll get into that at some point, but man, down the road, but just really, really interesting. He had a completely different perspective on, and not good or bad. It was just fascinating. He's got, he's fairly self-aware. And so he had some really honest, transparent responses that's why I love coaching, because I learn and grow and change with every session. And I think a lot of times I get more out of these than some of my clients do. Some of the clients are just not good leaders. That's not right. Not good learners. I mean, some of them maybe not be the greatest leaders too, but I'm blessed to work with great leaders. So in the past, I've had some leaders that were not the greatest, but I meant learners. Not every leader is a great learner. And so, yeah, sometimes I definitely learn more, but that's one of my strengths and passions is learning. And I'm realizing that not every leader has the same passion or desire or skill to learn. So anyway, but this guy has had some great insights that he came up with his exercise when he did that exercise. So anyway, thank you for sharing, for rating, reviewing, subscribing, for if there's an episode that encourages you or maybe resonates with you, if you could share that with somebody else that you think it would maybe encourage too, that would be awesome if you shared that as well.